John, there appears to be, just looking at the budget papers, a tendency at the moment for the Department of Education here in New South Wales to underspend what it's allocating. What's your first impressions of that?
Well, I'm very surprised the government would allocate money and not spend it. The demands on government for services are extensive. Governments are cutting back on services, so if the money is there, it seems pretty twee to me to not be allocating it and not be utilising it.
Is it disappointing to you that obviously, come budget day, we give them a lot of publicity for saying this year they're going to spend an extra $466 million, but for example, they only spend 40 of that?
Yeah, that's of enormous concern. This government in New South Wales has cut education spending by $1.7 billion. And it's pretty obvious now how they're doing that. They're simply allocating money and not spending it.
Are our schools, I guess you can speak for independent, but I'm going to try, maybe you could be able to extrapolate as well. Are schools calling out for more funding as well? I mean, are there places to spend more money?
There are. Absolutely. If you went to any school principal and asked for a list of where they would like to spend extra money, additional resources, there's not a principal in the state who wouldn't have an extensive list.
Obviously, one of the things when you run a business, and what we're always told in our game, is if you don't spend your budget,
you lose it.
Tend to lose it. Do you have any fears that may be the case?
I would say that is exactly the case, and what you'll get is you'll get a promise that anything we didn't spend we'll roll over and spend next year, but clearly that's not happening either based on the figures for the last 3 years.
Now, in terms of the independent sector, how would underspending, for example, at the state level on public expenditure, how would that affect your funding?
Non-government schools are traditionally funded on the basis of 20% from the state government of what it costs to educate a child in a government school. So if they're initiating budget programs and then not spending that money, the projected cost of educating a child in a government school doesn't meet the benchmark that was set. That will have an impact in the non-government sector. So for example, if the government determined to abolish a particular program because they don't think it works in their schools, but in the non-government sector, or Catholic schools in particular, if they think that program does work for them, they're going to have pressure on their budgets because the government aren't passing that money through, even though you might have a program that has a proven track record of success. Well, we've largely been focusing on national issues because this is a national conference, but we've been looking at issues around teacher accreditation at higher levels, and the funding of students with disabilities. The federal government today have made an announcement basically that they will not be adding additional resources to students with disabilities, and that to me is a crime.